the back, so the only way to go is up. And I got Josh Berry starting right behind me. So I don't know how great we'll run or what the end result will be, but I just like to go, and I always kind of say it, smell the smells and hear the sounds and experience all the things inside a race car that I loved about it. And hopefully that's what comes out of it. Really is just a lot of fun and a good experience. And so I try not to get too excited too quickly, and I'll be very excited the moment I'm walking out there to get in the car. The best part about it, I think, is hopefully watching my little 3-year-old Isla, because she's just old enough to sort of understand what's going on around her. And she's been to the racetrack with us before, but doesn't remember it. And so now, and she's into the Cars movies and Blaze the Monster Truck and all kinds of things like that, and runs around the furniture in the living room pretending to be a racer. And so, maybe this will be pretty interesting to her to see me get in that car and drive away. And we'll see anyways. But yeah, I just want to have fun and try not to, I really don't put a lot of thought into the performance or the end result. It's just, it's just so good to be able to get in a car and be reminded of all the things that a driver deals with when you're working in the booth. As a retired race car driver, the further you are from the last time you were in a race car, the harder it is to sort of remember the little particular things that a driver thinks about, the way a driver thinks about things. You get further and further away from that part of your life, and a lot of those details that a driver's thinking about inside the car, you forget about them. And if I watch my races that I broadcast, I mention those things less and less. And so, because I feel like when I come out of the booth, or when I come out of the race car and went to the booth in 2018, all that was so fresh on my mind, and I felt like, man, I've got a lot of stuff up here, that I remember about driving that I can pull from and just lay down anytime in the broadcast. I'm ready for anything that I'm going to see. I know exactly what the driver's thinking about and what he's dealing with and what he's thinking inside the car and what all the switches are. And the further away from my driving career that I get, the harder it is to recall that stuff instantly. And so I think it's great to be able to get into the car, to be reminded, to remember, oh yeah, this is, and when I get out of the car, I write a lot of notes down, and it ain't for the crew chief. It's for me, going back into that broadcast booth, going forward, trying to, keep all that stuff fresh on my mind, of what the drivers are dealing with. That's my job as an analyst, is to sort of explain where the driver's mind is in any given moment in the race. And so that, I think, really, to be honest with you, getting inside this car for this one race is more about that for me. It's probably means something to a lot of different people that were supporters of ours through the years, but for me, it's just a great refresher, and it helps me so much as an analyst to be reminded about all those things. And I can get a lot of information that'll help me in the booth out of this one little race.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And we are going to now go for questions. Friendly reminder, if you have a question, raise your hand within the Zoom platform, which many of you have already done so. We're going to get to as many questions as we can in the time we have with Dale. As always, we appreciate your questions, but please be considerate of others as well as you're asking those questions and potential follow-ups. So to kick us off, we are going to go to Jeff Gluck. Go ahead, Jeff.
I promise I just listened to all your reasons for why you're doing this, but is there at all some part of your mind that goes, man, like, I could win this. I mean, if I recall, you ran pretty well at Richmond last time. Like, do you let yourself think like what happens if you win?
No, I know what happens if I win. You know, I know I'll have a genuine appreciation for the moment, and you know, but I don't think about it because you know, there's some good cars out there, some good drivers, and we were in this race a couple years ago and led some laps, won a stage, but when it came down to it, and it was time to get down to business, we didn't have it. You know, those guys really picked it up there at the end and surprised me a little bit. But you know, it's I hope we run good. We should. I mean, our junior motorsports cars have been good at this track over the years, and Jeb ran great in this car last year. A lot of the information, the setup, and all that stuff's leaning on some of the history there with what Jeb did last year in our car, and what Justin had success with this year and last year. And so, I mean, the car should be real competitive, and it's such a short race though that, you know, coming from the back and my inexperience, or what you know, it'll take me, you know, 20 or 40 laps to really feel connected to the car and feel like me and the car are working together. And I don't know if that's too late, you know, to be honest with you. As good as some of these guys are, you got to be on it from the start, and we'll just have to see. So, but I don't really daydream too much about the result. You know, we'll just see, you know, how it all shakes out. But I hope I get to run all the laps, and I hope I get to have fun. And you know, I hope I'm reminded why I love it, and then also why I don't do it anymore. I tell you, the last couple times I've ran these races, I'm excited, and I get in the car and I'm like, man, this is so good. Wow, this all the emotions and the senses and everything's just coming back to you, and just feels right. You know, you feel like you know what you're doing, and you and the car are in tune. And then about halfway through the race, you kind of get to a point where you're like, all right, I'm good. I can we can stop. You know, it's kind of like halfway through the roller coaster ride. You're like, all right, that was fun. I'm good. I can get off now. But you know, it's hopefully it just goes well, and looking forward to it. And we're gonna do it again probably next year, and just keep on doing these one-offs as we go. I don't know if I want to do more than that, but you know, I do miss it. I miss driving, and I daydream about driving full time, and what that would be like. And boy, I miss it. But you know, it'll be a good time. It's good to see some familiar faces. I miss a lot of y'all. I don't know some of you, but it's good to see some familiar faces on this call.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep.
We're going to continue with questions. And the next question we're going to take is from Lane with WTVR. Go ahead, Lane.
Hey, Dale, welcome back to Richmond. For those that don't know, why did you pick this particular race at Richmond? And what is it about this track that works for you so well?
Well, Richmond's shaped a lot like Myrtle Beach Speedway, where I raced late models for a long time. And I think that's why I came into that track and had success right out of the gate in the Xfinity series back in 98, 99, and early in my Cup career. And it's worn out, slick. Myrtle Beach was the same way. So a lot of characteristics there that, you know, made me feel comfortable, and I picked it up right away. So that was part of it. The reason why we picked this track, honestly, you know, I love short track racing. So with working with Hellman's, they want to really focus on the markets in the Southeast. So we're going to look at racetracks in the southern part of the United States. And then So, I mean, Texas is on the table. As far west as Texas. Homestead's a little bit far south, but I convinced them to let me do that race last year. That's probably a little bit too far for what their demographic or what they're aiming for. So, there's some influence there from the partnership with Hellman's on where we can race and where they'd prefer I race. I don't want to race in the playoffs. I don't want to be in the way or in any way influence anybody's championship run. Now, I know we're close to the playoffs and there is the potential that, something could happen that I could be involved in that could affect someone's championship run or as they're heading into the playoffs. But I'll try to do my best not to be a part of any of that. But I definitely don't want to race during the championship races. And going back to Hellman's, they don't like to activate early in the season. Doing Homestead again that early in the year last year was very challenging for them to be able to accomplish the goals they want to accomplish outside of the race car in activating the partnership and the sponsorship. So that really puts us in a very small window of a few months in the season. And then when you think about the region they want to be in, that whittles down the tracks to literally just one or two or three choices. So I would have probably preferred to go to Martinsville early in the year, but it was just too soon for them to be able to accomplish what they want to accomplish on the marketing side of the deal. So, I don't really know the details on that, but I'm going to aim for Martinsville again next year and hopefully make that work for them. But if not, we'll get back to, looking at all the tracks on the map and seeing which ones make sense. So that's why we landed on Richmond again for this year.
Thanks, Dale. Good luck tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
All right. Our next question will come from Hank Kurtz with AP. Go ahead, Hank.
Hey, Dale. Welcome back. Kind of a two-part question. Did the anniversary play any role in your wanting to run this particular race? And kind of as an emotional guy who kind of wears your emotions on your sleeve, do you expect whatever solemn tributes and stuff before the race to impact your thinking in that 20 to 40 lap window?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for us and Hellman's to do something unique in remembrance of 9/11. I honestly, a year ago when we're thinking about running what track we're going to run, I just look at the racetracks and think about the ones that I enjoy and that's kind of where we end up. And to be honest, I didn't know it was a doubleheader and until later on, but it worked out to where we can do something pretty unique and hopefully something that people really will appreciate. I'm looking forward to seeing whatever pre-race activities may be going on that would be out of the ordinary. Since it is 9/11, I would expect NASCAR to have something special going on before each race. So I look forward to that. But once you get into the race car, you kind of, it demands your attention and you forget about, everything going on around you just for a little bit, just for that little while you're in the car, you kind of don't think about anything but not wrecking, trying not to crash and trying to pass the car in front of you and trying to know where everybody is at all times around you. So I think during cautions and stuff, you certainly can let your mind wander a little bit, but while you're out there battling it out, you just kind of get soaked into what's happening. But it's certainly it's I feel kind of connected to that date. because of what happened in our sport when we went back to Dover, and so and with what happened in what was going on in my own life, that year. It was a very challenging year, but and I think it's important that we continue to remember and honor everyone affected by that event. All these years later, I think it is important that we continue to shine a light on the people that were affected by that. So I'm happy that we are. I'm happy to be kind of a small part of that tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, our next question will come from Claire B. Lang. Go ahead, Claire.
Thank you. Dale, I know you're nervous because you care so much, but I wonder, I was sitting here thinking, is he nervous because of all the fans that are so excited, who so excited to have you back in the car? Because of television that looks to you as an analyst and all the fans that watch on TV, because you're the boss man at Junior Motorsports and you run the place, expectations of you from the past, or because you're a former Cup driver come back? I find that very interesting. Or maybe it's just a natural thing. I don't know.
It's all that, you named it. All those things kind of play a role in adding on a little bit of pressure. And you, Mike, y'all have fun with this. We're every week we're thinking about what we're going to do for the podcast and who we're going to have on for our guests. And Mike said, what we ought to do? Maybe we don't need a guest. Maybe we should just kind of go over your race and your experience. And I'm like, well, man, I've got enough pressure as it is. Now I got the pressure of having to come home with something worthy to discuss on the podcast. What if we crash? What if it's a bad race? What if we fall out in the second lap? What are we going to talk about? I'm not going to enjoy that. But so I was joking with Mike. He was just adding another layer of stress to the whole thing. But I'm just kidding. I think that it's it is a little nerve wracking, and I think that that's kind of probably why I don't go try to race late models with Josh, or haven't done anything like that in the past. Is just you roll in there and people go, oh, he's got this experience and he's got this car and this is how he should run. And I wish I was more like Chase Elliott. Like, he just races, and if he wins, he wins. He don't care if he doesn't run good. He goes and runs a Chili Bowl and does all these other things, and he knows in his mind what the reality of the situation is, and if he gets outrun by them guys, he knows why that happened, and he's fine with that, And I think I wish I was a little more like that, I guess, to where I could just go and do and not worry about getting beat and getting outran. So I'd probably race a little bit more outside of, I'd go have some fun in our late models or something at a local track or something. But because they definitely whooped me if I went and did that. But trying to explain why that happened is kind of tough. But one of the things that I like to say about this is I think that it's a great opportunity to show to showcase and highlight how elite the drivers are in the Xfinity series. The drivers obviously in the Cup series are the best of the best, the top of the heap. But the drivers in the Xfinity series, these guys are in those cars every single week. I have no expectations of going in there and beating them because they do it every week, and they are in tune and plugged in. They're in the deep throes of a season. Their minds are in a groove. Their bodies are ready for what they're going to do this weekend. And I'm just going to hop in there raw and unprepared, no matter how much I study, and try to compete with them. And I just, I think that's going to be a tall order And so, you know, it's it'll be fun though to get out there and run with them. But they're good. They're really good at what they do, and it'll be great to get out there and experience that a little bit. But yeah, I think there's if you can think it of what might make me a little nervous or make the anxieties go up a little bit. If you can mention it, it's there. It's one of the things.
Real quick, do you feel more pressure coming back for a one-off? You always put pressure on yourself, right? Or less pressure than when you were racing for a living, you know?
I think when you raced every single week, when you did bad, you had an opportunity the next weekend to fix it. You know, you would, if you had a bad weekend, it wasn't fun, it wasn't good, and you took it home with you and you spent the rest of the week being miserable, but you knew that you were going back to the track with a chance to redeem yourself and a chance to peel that, you know, that layer off, that layer of disappointment off, you know, and that was always there every single week. And so when you do I haven't had a bad experience in these one race a year deals. I haven't had a bad experience yet. So I don't know how that's going to feel when we have a bad race. If I'm going to go, man, I got to wait a whole year to fix this. that might make things a little difficult. Amy's not going to want to be around me for a whole year. So I hope that's not the case. I hope that even if we, you know, I hope that if I did have a bad experience, I'd be able to get out and go, hey, you know, that's the way a cookie crumbles sometime. And you can't expect to come in and enjoy it every single race. Cause I certainly didn't when I was racing full time. You had it up and down and it was good and bad. And gosh, you'd win one weekend and then you couldn't run in the top 30 the next. I mean, it was crazy how much of a roller coaster racing in the series is full time.
Well, you just go have fun with it, okay, Dale? Thanks a lot. Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to squeeze in one final question here with the Richmond Times-Dispatch. Go ahead, Michael.
Thanks for doing this. Can I go off the board and ask you about the Washington football team? Because they're debuting up here the day after the race. And do you know Ron Rivera at all from him being in Charlotte for so long?
I really, we might have crossed paths very briefly, but when he was hired, Dan Snyder sent me his number and we've been in communication ever since. So I've always kind of admired him, but I did get to know him about as well as anybody else in this area when he was coaching for Charlotte. And everybody loved him, you know, everybody thought the world of him. And so, you know, it's been nice to kind of be able to send a text here and there and wish him luck. And, you know, he's been a great addition to the organization, really turned around the culture in the locker room, in my opinion. I've not really experienced it firsthand, but it seems like he's certainly won the players over.
And any thoughts coming into the year?
Well, you know, we got a bit of a question mark at quarterback. I do like Fitzpatrick. I love his style and his swagger, but we'll just have to see whether he can be consistent. And I think the rest of the tools are there across the board between, you know, all the offensive weapons, and the defense is amazing. A lot of names on the defense if they can play well and stay healthy. The problem with Washington over the years has been just trying to stay healthy. You know, get halfway through the season, you're losing really key guys in critical moments and must-win games. And so we had a little bit of that last year, but seems like since Ron got there, they changed the staff a little bit, and the health of the players has improved, and their ability to avoid injuries improved somewhat as well. So I think that's going to be the key thing for every team, is just keeping their players on the field. And I think the team that does that the best have a good opportunity to make a good run into the season, deep into the season, shot at the playoffs.
Appreciate it.
All right, Dale, thank you so much for spending time with us this afternoon. We really appreciate it. And we wish you the best of luck in Richmond this weekend.
I look forward to it. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll see you there.